work out your salvation with fear and trembling. There's a way to live when you have become saved. Why? Because like my brother was saying, the end game is to weaponize you. That's why he gives you the Holy Ghost. So that you become a weapon in his hand. And what does he want to do with that weapon? He wants to wield you against immorality. He wants to wield you against wickedness. He wants to wield you against unrighteousness. He wants to wield you against Satan and his cohorts. But how can he wield you when you have not cleaved to his hand like that weapon cleaved to the hand of Eliezer? That's how a Christian is supposed to be in the hand of the Lord. And the glue that cleaves you to his hand is called obedience. Obedience. I made up my mind when I was about to leave the university that I will obey God no matter the cost. I didn't want to live in worry. In fact, when I came back, my first stop was Lagos. I left camp straight to Lagos to go and look for a job. And that year, if you go and check, you will find out that what I say is not a lie. That year was the peak of bank mergers. Many banks were merging because CBN laid a demand that they had to meet a minimum financial requirement at the central bank. So many banks were merging. And I had an uncle at that time in the central, not a family member, but he came to know us through church, so we used to call him uncle, who was the head of the division in central bank that was responsible for the mergers. So I told myself, even the devil cannot stop me getting a job. So I arrived in Lagos and went to see him. As I sat before him and began to tell him about my youth service, he said, "How much did you save?" I said, "Sir, I didn't save anything." He said, "You're a foolish boy." Meanwhile, the reason I didn't save money was I was a missionary during my service. I volunteered to be a missionary. So everything I had went into mission work. Went into my dealings with the students on the mountains of Mobi. I just lived like recklessly. I didn't care whether I had anything. I just wanted to do his will. I remember when POP was about to come, I took a 2 weeks fast. And I was begging God, tell me whether you want me to stay here. I was not in a hurry to go back. On the mountains, where people were still half naked, 2004, 2005, half naked. Nothing, no light. We slept in darkness. If we don't put on generator in the mission clinic, no light. No fresh tomatoes. If I wanted to cook, at that time I used to use tin tomatoes. No fridge, no soft drink. We had a pot. It's when I came to the north, I found out that you don't need fridge. We had a pot that you put in the ground, and then this iron cup. If you use it to take water, the outside will be cool as if you put it inside fridge. And serving in Adamawa State, I had never seen those kind of temperatures. Those kind of temperatures. When it's hot, people sleep outside. When it's cold, blood will be falling from my nose. It was terrible. But when it was time to leave, I was begging God, do you want me to stay? Because the safest place to be as a child of God is in the will of God. The will of God. The will of God. So I was talking to my uncle that day. I thought I would impress him. When I was reeling out my achievements, say, "Sir, I served with missionaries." He said, "You're a foolish boy. When you come from the kind of family you come from, you are supposed to come back home with savings and start your life." I became ashamed. I was hoping he just needed to write a recommendation and one of those banks would have taken me. But he didn't consider me worthy. By the time he finished with me, my small self-esteem that I had died. All the aura and the glow I came with from youth service had gone. I was feeling sorry for myself, depressed. But that was not the end of the story. I entered into the lift in Central Bank of Nigeria, and the lift dropped me down. As I was coming, I forgot that my shoe that I had was not of great quality. So I was kicking my leg anyhow on the stairs, and the heel of the shoe fell off. In the banking hall of Central Bank. It's just that was the only shoe I had. I wanted to disown the heel. The pain and the embarrassment. How can your heel be falling off from your shoe? I wanted to be proud and walk past it, but I said, oh God, you not get another one. So I picked my heel with shame, with fear and trembling. And then I went to a shoemaker that was not too far. I sat down because I understand a little Hausa based on my time of youth service. The guy was talking to his companion because I didn't know tears were falling from my eyes. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed. And he was asking the other man, what will make a grown man be crying like this? I was in pain. But you see, I determined, God, if you want to waste this life, waste it. Many years later now, I'm standing here and I'm asking myself, what do I want to do for bank before that suffer work? That suffer head work. What do I want? So I'll just sit down in one place and be counting money and be attending to people who don't have respect. Some of you know the way you behave in bank. You are going to come in to collect 2,000. You'll be talking to somebody. So what would that have been? That would have been the end of my destiny. At that time, I thought God was punishing me. I didn't know He was saving me. I didn't know He was preserving my soul. That there's something greater. I want to do something greater with you. It was popular in those days to work in the bank. When you got a job in the bank, your life automatically transformed. I know friends that we graduated together, their lives changed. Brand new cars, all kinds of things. I felt I was missing something. But today, more than 10 years after, Jesus has proven that if it is Him that you obey, your life will become a story that He is telling from eternity. Tonight, my first assignment is to ask you, do you love Him enough?